Happy Friday, Inner Circle Collective. All right, your Legacy Builder Coach here, LaShawn E. Michael, is here, Esquire, to help you in regards to your debt management tools. I told you all this was going to be action packed. Get your pen, your pad, and your paper. And remember that the Inner Circle here Collective is here to help you grow and grow together. We're going to reflect, we're going to evolve in the main thing, what we're learning for the first quarter of the year on the financial side of things of the house. We are learning about how to reimagine your relationship with money. So let's get into debt management tools we talked about this week in regards to helping you. Also, remember that the Shopping Freeze Challenge is your subscription. So I want to hear from you all who have called companies and canceled some subscriptions that you're not using, or at the very least, reviewed your subscriptions and made sure that you are not paying the amount that you weren't aware of. If something has gone up, you've asked some questions and you try to renegotiate some things so you won't pay as much. So the shopping spending freeze is still in effect. This week's is with in subscriptions. Last week was treats. Remember, we're keeping those rolling because the goal is to save and put that money towards something else. So if you save some money, if you canceled $100 worth of subscriptions, I want you to either bank it or put it on a debt. Okay? So let's get into the debt management tools. Of course, when we excuse me, met on Wednesday, we talked about a few tools that I shared with you all, including the 5-20-30 rule. We talked about the snowball method, the avalanche method. We talked about negotiation of payments and of your debt. We talked about budgeting. We talked about consolidation. And we talked about automation. And I promised you all that I was going to come back and talk this last day on Friday in regards to debt management tools or understanding how your credit score is established. Of course, 5 factors that you all deal with in regards to your credit factors. And I wonder if you know what those are. Well, just a brief story time to kind of get y'all in play in regards to reimagining your relationship with money. Of course, I continue to tell you all that credit card debt is not something that is foreign to me. I still have credit card debt. I've had credit card debt and I've had all amounts of credit card debt. And it is something that is a constant work for me. But what I can tell you is this, that one of the things that you always want to do, and one of the things I have really prided myself on, is no matter how much my debt is, I have paid it on time. So one of the first factors and the highest considered factor of all the 5 factors in regards to how your credit score is calculated month to month is your payment history. If you do nothing else, pay on time. Even if you're paying the minimum, make sure you are paying on time. It is 35% of the calculation of your credit score. Let me say it again, 35% of the calculation of your credit score. So paying on time is a big consideration when the 3 credit bureaus are looking at your credit score, your payment history. Number 2, the debt to credit ratio or utilization ratio. I told you all that you want to try to maintain all of your credit cards, but the spending and the balance 30% or lower, really 29% or lower. And if you can get it 10% or lower, you will see almost 850 credit score. So you definitely want to try to deal with the debt to credit utilization or the amount owed on these credit cards because that is 30% of your score. I'll say it again, it is 30% of your score. So that is a big chunk, but it determines your credit score. That 300 to 850 score is determined. This is 30% of that score. So we've said payment history, which is 35%, amount owed, or your debt to credit utilization ratio, 30%. The next one is 15%, and that one is the length of your credit history. So, or the length of time you've had a credit card. I have a credit card that I've had for now 30, almost 31 years. My mother and my godmother, shout out to my godmother Linda and my mother, who's no longer with us, they convinced me when I was a sophomore in college that I needed to get one credit card, and that was because my dad had bought me a car, and my mom wanted to teach me the responsibility of credit cards. And also make sure I had an emergency card in my name. So if I needed something for my car or some other emergency that was unforeseen while I was at school, that I would be able to pull up and pull out the credit card and be able to charge it. Well, I applied for this card saying that I was babysitting kids for $50 a week, and my credit card company Discover gave me a chance, and I've had that card and still maintain that card almost 31 years later. The other story that goes with that credit card is my mother let me take the credit card to college. Of course, the bills were coming back to our home in New Jersey, and I had ran up a credit card bill of $1,000 as a sophomore in college. Well, the funny story is that my mother drove from New Jersey to Baltimore, Maryland, came and knocked on the door and surprised me and confiscated my $1,000 credit card, my Discover card, and told me these words: I'm going to pay off the first thousand, but if you ever put another amount up here that you can no longer pay, you will be paying it on your own. And she kept her word. She kept the card for about 3 months. She did return the card and she did pay the balance off. I never charged on that card again, but I kept maintaining that card and I'm still using that card 31 years later. So that's the funny story of today. My mother said, do not play with me about credit. And I say that to say is that your length of time for a credit card is very important. The other thing to remember with this is a lot of us have old credit cards that we're no longer using and we've thrown them in a safe or thrown them in a box or thrown them in a closet. Some of y'all are putting them in the freezer and freezing them. And if you continue to not use those cards, what it says to the card holder, the card owner of the credit card, that you no longer want to use the card, and then they start either reducing the balance or they cut the card off altogether. That is a ding on your credit. So you don't want to lose your old credit cards because the goal is to not go out here and apply for new credit cards. So if you have a credit card that you've had for a number of years, or it's the oldest credit card you have, throw a subscription on it, throw something that is a monthly payment that you can easily manage your payoff so you can keep the card active, because that is 15% of your score. So we had payment history, which is 35%. We then moved on to debt to credit ratio, utilization ratio on the amount owed, that is 30%. And then the next thing on the agenda, as I said, was the length of time you've had a credit card, and that is 50%. The next one is credit mix. People ask me all the time, what is credit mix? What is credit mix? Well, credit mix is the different types of debt you have. So you want to have more than one type of debt on your credit report. You don't want just revolving credit from credit cards. You want to have a mortgage. You want to have installment payments. You want to have other types of payments that show that you are responsible with different types of credit, and that rewards your credit score. It's 10%. It's not a big chunk of your credit score, but your credit mix is important. So you want to mix things up. If you have a personal loan or you have student loans, those kind of things, those are different types of loans. It's just revolving credit debt. You want to, the companies and the credit bureaus want to see something else to show your responsibility with a broad credit mix. 10% of your score. So if you have a car payment, that's an installment loan. If you have a mortgage, that's a mortgage loan. And if you have revolving credit, that's a different type of loans. So you want to have a mix of a different in a variety and a different array of credit types of credit every time. Lastly, the next thing is new credit and inquiries. That is also 10% of your score. Why is that important? Because if you go out and apply for a credit card, that is considered a new credit and a soft inquiry. So that also dings your credit score. So you want to be careful with opening a bunch of store credit cards or opening up a bunch of credit cards around the same time, because it will be a penalty towards your score. You want to open new credit, and there's nothing wrong with open new credit, but remember, the inquiries are what really dings you. So there's a difference between soft inquiries and hard inquiries. Soft inquiries usually do not hurt your credit score, and what it winds up doing is usually is a lender that you're already working with They're trying to see you make more money. They want to see how you're managing your debt. Have you almost paid off the debt you owe them? And they will do a soft inquiry on your credit just to kind of see what your credit and how your credit is doing. Then you have hard inquiries. That's when you apply for your big ticket item loans, home, car, etc. Those stay on your credit report longer and they do affect your score temporarily. So you want to be mindful of that when you are. That's why you hear realtors always tell homeowners or potential homeowners, do not buy a car and home at the same time. Now, the funny thing is that every home that I've had, something has either happened to my car or or my car broke down and I had to buy a new car. So again, be mindful because you don't want too many big ticket purchases with hard inquiries at the same time. Not only does it affect your score, but it may show some inconsistencies of responsibility with your lending and your money habits. So you want to make sure that you do slow burns. Wait to buy the car until you closed on your home, etc. So let's go over it one more time. Your payment history is 35%. Your amount owed or debt to credit utilization ratio is 30%. The length of time you've had credit is 15%. Credit mix is 10%. And new inquiries and new credit is 10%. So, lastly, I told you all we were going to talk about briefly credit scores and how they rank. Credit score, the FICO 8 score, which we commonly know that comes from the three credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, is 300, which is poor, to 850, which is excellent. So I just want to give you all a breakdown of those scores so you'll have an idea what you're looking at. So of course, poor is 300 to 579. Okay, let me say that again. Poor is considered 300 to 579, and we're talking about your actual credit score. Fair is 580 to 669. Fair, meaning you have a fair marking as far as your credit score, is 580 to 669. Okay, and then your good credit score is between 670 and 739. Okay, so let me say it again, 670 to 739. Then you move to very good, which is 740 to 799. Then you move to excellent when you're at 800 to 850. You want to try to get to close to 850 as possible, but the average score that helps you get new things usually is 720 and above. And most Americans are at least at that 720 range, but I think the mean American score is between 690 to 720. So if you are above 720, you're doing good. Usually to get any big ticket items like a home, a car, student loans, etc., you need 720 and above. So aim for 720 if you're not there yet. If you are above 720, you're aiming for 850. And those five factors that I told you about are very essential and very, very, very important in coming up with your credit score. So the goal is to get 720 and above. And the goal is to get perfect or as close to perfect as you can, because when you have a great credit score, it frees you up from not having to maybe make a down payment. It also opens different loan access to you, etc. So the higher your score is, the better chance that you have access to the best things. Because remember, I tell you all the time, you need assets to have access. All right? So that's what we learned this week in Inner Circle Collective in regards to debt management tools. We're going to keep this going. On next week, I will reveal to you all what is the next Shop and Freeze challenge. Remember, it has been treats, meaning just little things that you like to pick up that you just aimlessly think about and go buy, whether it's a milkshake, etc., Starbucks coffee, whatever. I want you to give up a treat, put that money, either bank it or pay it on debt, and you want to keep this going for the entire month. Then this week we talked about subscriptions, and you want to look at your subscriptions, see which ones you use it, and see which ones you can cancel. However it works, do the same thing, cancel it, bank the money, or pay it towards that, and you want to keep this going for the entire month. So we're adding on things that you give up that's going to help you move into saving some money and also paying debt. But we have concluded the conversation about debt management tools. I look forward to serving y'all next week. Remember the Inner Circle Collective. We want you all to consider the $39 a month subscription. You're going to get so much juicy information like this, so many learning tools, classes, book clubs, and the main thing is grow together. But remember the goal for your financial coach, your legacy builder coach, LaShawn E. Michael Esquire. The goal for the first quarter from January, February to March, I want you all to think about your relationship and reimagine your relationship with money, because I promise you, and what I'm promising you at the end of this, if you follow these tools, if you give up some of these things, if you get more disciplined about saving your money, I promise you, you'll get out of debt, you'll start saving, you'll start investing, and then you will see the importance of investing in estate planning and things that will help build a long lasting legacy for your family, because around here we are legacy builders and we can do it together. All right, y'all. I will see y'all next week. Consider joining the Inner Circle Collective. As I said, it's a $39 subscription. You're going to learn about the 5 pillars, finances, which I'm your financial coach. You have a wellness coach, Gwendolyn Althea. We have an AI coach, Christy Davis. And we have a career coach, Janine Merriweather, who is the founder of this fantastic group. And as I said, I'll be doing finances, and we also will be talking about relationships and spirituality, all subjects that all people talk about and need all the time. So I want you to grow and glow together. And we are doing this together. This is a journey. It is not a sprint. And as I told you all, we are working together to become better. And I'm telling y'all, I'm in this journey with y'all. All these tools and things I'm talking about, I'm implementing in my own life. It is a continual process. We've never made it to the mountaintop. All right. So I will see you next week. Consider joining our subscription program to be in the Inner Circle Collective private community. And remember that the business page is also out here. So join that as well. And I'll see y'all next week. Bye for now.